like it's set up right. Oh, I record this time. Give it some time, let some people come in. Here talking about animals and how they're very similar to us and that we don't want to be exploited or used without our consent. So if they could clearly say no, would you still use them? Personally, I believe in consent and autonomy, and if I don't give you consent to do what you want to me, then you do not have the right over my body. And I'm trying out new systems, still trying to get things figured out. You're going to hear typing in the background. That's my partner programming. Just deal with it. Exactly. They do say no, but if they could vocalize saying no, would they? Would you still use them? I know, Muffin Man, I'm pretty sure you're vegan, but you know what I mean. If they could vocalize to you, no, I don't want you to do this to me, would you still think it is your right to do what you want to them? Everyone can be vegan. If you follow that religion, then you should check out the documentary Christspiracy, just because it goes over Jesus and how he potentially lived his life on Earth. Okay, so I would go look up a dietitian and say, hey, I don't want to use animals anymore. I want to be vegan. Can you please help me? And they'll help you find the best way for you to live. Those are the best people you can contact, dietitians. Yeah, you can get everything you need on a plant-based diet and actually decrease your cardiovascular disease. It's not eating junk food. It's eating whole food plant-based. So I'm sorry that happened to you, but there is a way for you to still live vegan and healthfully. Oh, so what they do is they go back to like the sea scrolls, the original holy text, and they look at the original words that have been translated into English words for us, and they look up what do these words actually mean. So it's actually quite intriguing. It's a great documentary. I'm not religious, but it was definitely eye-opening. I'm really sad I can't screen record my live like I usually do. I like to have a copy of the comments, but TikTok doesn't do that. Actually, I wonder, go like this. I wonder what that'll do. I don't know, we'll see. Okay. No, actually. Uh-oh. Is it my headphones? From? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Weird. I don't know what is the microphone actually. Before I bring people up, let me check something first. I'm using the desktop version, so I'm not as familiar. last time. Oh, because I muted it? Hey, okay. Well, my headphones work. There we go. Alright, I think I got it to fix. To make sure that it was going through the right system. I don't know, we'll see what happens, guys. Yeah, we're talking about morality. I'm not talking about if someone could overcome you or, whatever could take advantage of you. I'm talking about, would you find that moral if someone did something to you without your consent? Whether or not they can is not the question. I'm asking, do you prefer that? Do you prefer someone ignore your consent or acknowledge and respect your consent? I am seeing an issue with my camera placement. I can't see. There we go. Tethered to my computer. I don't like that. It'll keep it from getting hooked. Okay, I'm going to bring someone up. You got to be over 18. I mean, if you want your own autonomy respected, what are you guys supporting right now? You're supporting ignoring consent. You have to be over 18. KJ, I need you to be patient with me because I need to test my volume. Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Are you over 18?
19.
Okay. So if animals could tell you, no, don't use me, would you still use them?
What do you mean by use them? You mean eat them?
Yeah, in any fashion. You could use them, wear them, test on them, use them for entertainment.
Yes.
Okay, so what makes that moral?
Moral as in it's just a way of life. You're supposed to eat. And we're omnivores, meaning that we eat plants or meat so we can choose. So if we feel better off eating meat, then we have the moral right to choose that.
Do you think it's like it's a necessary evil? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's evil at all.
Okay, so do you think it's good that we cause animal suffering?
I don't know how we're causing animal suffering.
I mean, you're stealing their freedom and using their or violating their autonomy.
Right, so that wouldn't be suffering. That would be ending.
So if I had a human that I was enslaving,
suffering, right?
If I had a human that I was enslaving, would that be moral, even if I enslaved them in the kindest way?
Right, but for example, with your prop up here, cows are not humans.
Right, they're not humans. But what morally separates us? What's the moral relevant difference between us?
One's food, one's not.
Oh, humans are food?
No, you completely twist my words.
So what is
right.
the difference between them again?
Cows are food.
What makes them food?
I don't know. Or domesticated animals.
Is it just a narrative that you've been told?
Do you not believe that there are food?
Of course not.
Why?
Because they're sentient feeling beings and I can eat plants. Humans are just as much food as animals are. So let me break it down to you, my perspective.
You can eat plants. You can also eat meat. That's what we were made to do.
Do you want to actually have a conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you know what veganism is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Only eating plants, right?
No.
Or is that vegetarian?
That is not it. Veganism
Okay.
is a principled stance against the exploitation of sentient beings. That means I don't want to demand someone's enslavement for my taste pleasure, my entertainment. Does that make sense?
Not really.
So I don't want someone to lose their freedom because I enjoy whatever comes out of their oppression.
What do you enjoy out of cows?
I don't need anything from cows. It's not about do I like them. It's about I know that they are their own subjective being. They're having an experience. They have preferences.
Okay, so what are you gonna go up to the tiger?
You're not a tiger, man. I'm not
right.
talking to a
So,
tiger. I'm talking to you.
so do you believe that animals eating animals is a natural occurrence?
I think animals are moral patients and humans are moral agents. Like you and I, we can weigh out what's right and wrong. Whereas, like children, for example, don't really know what's right and wrong, right? But they still have some idea of morality. They're still a sentient being that cares about what happens to them. Just because they don't fully understand morality and may do things that are immoral sometimes doesn't give me the justification to exploit them, to oppress them.
So do you think eating meat is wrong?
I think using somebody without their consent is wrong, yes. Do you agree?
No.
You don't agree that using someone without their consent is immoral?
Yes. So, are you saying someone as in another human being?
As in a subject that's having their own subjective experience of life?
Right. As in like a farm animal.
Either one. We can
Right.
focus on
So,
humans if it makes you more comfortable. Like, what is it about humans that we value?
life.
No, not just that they're alive, but they're sentient. We care that they care what happens to them, right? We care that there's someone in there having an experience.
Yeah.
We don't care about how smart they are, right? So if someone's really dumb, it's okay for us to exploit them?
I didn't say that. I said no.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't say anything.
Right. So it's not okay to exploit someone just because they're unintelligent. Is it okay to exploit someone because they're really deformed? They don't
No,
look like
but a cow isn't a person.
Right. I'm going
so
on
I
about
don't get your
humans.
point
Stick
here.
with me. We're talking about humans. Is it okay to do that to humans?
No.
Okay. So what is it then about these humans that may not have full intelligence and may look completely different from us? What is it then that you value in those humans?
Life.
Just that they're alive. So you care about plants because they're alive. You care about them as equally as you do humans? Alright, so it's not about life. It's about a subject having their own experience, a unique being inside of that body, right? And they care what happens to them. You care what happens to you, so you can infer that other humans...
So this is the third time you explained this to me, and I'm agreeing for the
crazy
third
you don't
time.
Get it.
And I'm agreeing for the third time in a row, and I bet you $20 you're gonna bring it up one more time if we start a conversation.
So then what morally separates us?
I wanted
saying life or something, but that animals are alive. Animals are alive.
Yeah, human life.
Yeah, but okay, that's what I was saying. Like, you can't even tell me what you value in human life, other than human life. You're literally just saying my in-group, because species just means,
that goes without being said.
I mean,
if you need to be explained.
Do you know what species means? What does species mean?
Nothing. Not the definition. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're saying human, which is our species. So it's about who we can mate with. So do you decide who you respect with who you can procreate with?
Yeah.
That's gross, man. Like, there are people that cannot procreate with you, and you're like, I'm not going to respect you because I can't put my willy in you. That's pretty weird. Do you go person to person measuring that? Like, hey, can I stick this in you? Is that how you determine if you respect people? This is your logic. This is how you respect people. It's based off of who you can mate with.
I don't do that in the first place.
Do you think we should do whatever we want to animals?
See, you keep on putting it in that way. I'm not. We're talking about eating them.
Yeah. Should we do whatever we want to animals?
Dude, when you put it like that,
should we be able to
you're
do
wording
whatever
it
we
wrong.
want? Yes or no? It should be.
You're wording it wrong.
I'm saying it.
Very
If
wrong.
you can't follow, we'll move on. Can we do whatever we want to animals?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can grape them.
This is where I knew it was going to go. Yeah, go for it.
You think it's moral for a person to grape
I didn't say
animals?
that. No, I did not say that.
So you think it's not moral for humans to grape animals? Is it moral in your perspective to grape animals?
No, because I can't give consent.
Right. So why is escalating the violence okay? You're removing their heads. That's what we're here saying.
Because it's how we obtain our nutrients, and it's how we
to
feed ourselves to keep ourselves alive.
Look, there's evidence that shows we can thrive without using animals.
Yeah, you keep on saying can. We are omnivores. We can eat it.
I would like to talk to somebody that is here to actually have a conversation. Thank you. Do you want to hurt animals? No? Stop using them. You don't need to use them. That simple. They don't want to be used. Stop using them. Respect their autonomy. Shelly.
Hello?
Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 21.
Okay. So, if animals could say no, would you still use them?
Probably. Depends. I mean, a cow, yeah.
How do you morally justify that?
Before I answer that, could I ask you something, or?
As long as you answer my question of how you can morally justify that.
Yeah, I'll answer it. It just kind of goes with my question.
Okay.
If that's okay. Okay. So I think, what do you think should happen with the millions of cows? Do you think they should just be, do you think they shouldn't be in captivity, or like what?
You mean like the cows that are alive right now?
Yeah.
I think that if we stop procreation, they're the longest lived animal that we use. So 20 years. They live about 20 years. So if we stop procreating them, we could just care for them until their natural end, and then there'd be no more domesticated animals.
Okay, so you don't think like we should just let them go and live wild, right?
No, we've handicapped them.
Because I've heard
we've handicapped them. Yeah.
Well, even cows, we actually didn't even handicap them. They're a man-made animal.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Cows would not. Yeah, and
we took there was a wild ancestor that we took out of the wild.
It was buffalo.
Sure.
Yeah,
we took a female and we made her mate with another male that she wouldn't normally mate with, so their baby was deformed, and we did that over and over. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad we can at least figure on that text, because I've talked to some vegans who are like, let them go, they don't need to be in a pen, and I'm like,
oh, that's,
okay.
That's, I would feel that person, their heart's in the right place, but they're just not fully aware. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and even with prey animals, and they wouldn't be able to find their own food, like, they are man-made animals.
There are some areas where there are feral cows, and interestingly enough, even when the cows can survive, they are still a detriment to the environment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, cows, so my other thing is, that was kind of my argument, because they're a detriment to the environment. For me, cows don't serve a purpose.
Yeah, none of us really do, right? Nobody really serves a purpose. We're just existing.
I mean, in the fact of, dogs were made to be working animals. Horses were made to be working animals, and poultry.
Right. Again, that was us taking somebody who was free, right, and then we handicapped them.
Well, I know. I'm trying to give you my justification on why I think it's okay for a cow, but not a dog, for example, or a human. Even if you don't agree with that, I'd like to for a cow, their only purpose to ever be bred for was meat. And a dog's purpose to be bred for was work. Now I get that we did man-make these animals and we did handicap them and we took wild animals and forced them to mate and stuff. But the reason they were forced mate and because how these animals are, they all serve different purposes. And like a dog has served a different purpose than a cow has. And I could even get behind like some animals maybe of justification of not eating them, like for different purposes they were made for, because not all animals that we eat were only purposely made for meat. Cows were, but
I don't
like
understand what you're trying to say right now. Are you answering my question, or are you just kind of going on about different animals and how you value them in your own system? But I'm just asking if any of the animals you use.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I kind of forgot that question. Yeah, I mean, if a cow could say no, I would probably still eat it. But
Okay,
if we
so how
could
do you morally
like,
justify that?
because of what it was put on this earth for. My toddler says no to eating living beings, but
I don't know if you know this, we did this to humans too. We enslaved humans, and we actually forced bred them to make more enslaved humans. I don't know if you knew that.
yeah, I know.
So if someone is bred for something, does that mean it's moral to use them for that?
No, I don't think
Exactly.
it's okay, but that's...
Why
I'm
was that
talking
immoral
species
to humans?
wise, not type of cow.
Right. Why was that immoral to humans?
Well, see, your justification doesn't line up with mine, because I'm talking about why it wasn't moral, and I'm talking about...
Can you tell me why,
species,
though?
you're talking about...
Why?
Because no human is a slave, no human should be owned.
But why?
Like, that's... Because we were not...
Think about yourself.
Because humans...
Put yourself in the victim's perspective. Why would you not want to be enslaved?
Because I don't want to be forced to work for someone without getting paid, with being treated wrong, you know?
Exactly. You yourself don't find it fair for someone to tell you what to do, to invade your autonomy. Does it matter how smart you are?
No.
Does it matter if you were deformed or you lost a lens?
No.
Right.
Talking about the though, I do want to show you something.
I don't want your video though, please.
No, it's not a video. It's that cow back there.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I know. I don't let people turn their cameras on because I just don't want to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I don't want to open the floodgate to other issues with cameras. I understand that animals, look, there were people that were enslaved by people that were compassionate slave owners, right? They were given rooms and clothing and food. Some of them even had allowances that they could go out and purchase things. They were still slaves. That was immoral.
Yeah. Well, and I get that. It's like, oh, how kind of them, but it doesn't mean it's still immoral.
Doesn't matter, right? Yeah. That person had their freedom taken from them. And I'm saying the animals are the same. They just have a different shaped body and different priorities. They still share what's important, though. They're having their own subjective experience, and they're weighing those experiences, on whether they prefer them or not. They usually prefer to be comfortable and avoid harm, just like us. So if we can thrive without using them, why don't we? Why subject them to the scariest thing that we don't even put our worst humans through?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. And one thing I do want to say is, even though we don't see out on something like eating them or not, and we disagree on that, I am glad we can have the mutual stance of if we were to stop or not, we wouldn't just let them be wild animals. We would stop breeding. I think that is a very
I think that you have a compassionate heart. I think you understand where I'm coming from. I just think that you don't think you have power. I think you think that you don't have the power to make change. And I'm telling you, you have a lot of power.
I know, and I do know, like I said, we own a family-owned cattle farm. We have over 3,000 cows. And for me, I know it sounds critical, but some of these cows that I raise, I have some cows that I halter train and all that, you know, I can't get myself to eat them. When they're butchered, I can't eat that meat. And I know it sounds hypocritical, and I know it's like, oh, well, don't eat meat if you feel that bad, but like, I mean, not in the way, but I do have a little bit of, like,
you sound like you have empathy. I hear it in you. Yeah. Is it because you know those cows?
Well, yeah, honestly, it's because I've bonded with those cows, and I don't understand how some people, like some of the people who work on our farm, they'll have like these cows and they'll eat them for dinner. Like some people, one time I see people tell us they had a pet goat. His name was Gilbert. I saw that pet goat the morning I went to their house. They said, we're coming over for dinner. I said, great. We come over. The goat was in the fire pit, and they had to eat him that night. And I said, I can't. I saw your goat 2 minutes ago being walked by your 2-year-old.
Yeah, that is hard.
And so, I know, and I think that's the stance. Like, a lot of people think cattle farmers have no empathy, no emotion, which a lot do towards those animals. I'm not going to lie about that, but not every cattle farmer also treats their animals bad. Like, for us at least, he treats the animals very good.
Again. Remember, you can have...
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying that as another thing of, like, I just don't want all people to think that all cattle farmers are immoral. I know you might not agree with feeding them, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, so 90% of the animals in Western countries are factory farmed. So I'm going to veer on the edge that most farmers are actually going to be cold and indifferent to their animals because they see them as a product, because they are there to make them money. And even the kind farmers are still looking at these animals not as family as they claim, because who sells their family? They see them as far as like a programmer and their laptop, right? As far as this tool will make me money, that's as much as I care about it. They don't, otherwise they wouldn't raise the animals, right? They'd be a sanctuary, if anything. So that's the issue with even the small farms.
Well, and from our, like, farm, occasionally I'll meet these animals who I've bonded with, and I'm like, no, like, I don't want you to do meat. I know it's like, oh, I do, it's one but not the other, but I'll pay for those animals with my money, and I'll keep them there until they naturally pass.
Right, because you care about their experiences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there's a supply and demand thing in here where you may not see the direct violence in what you are getting, but you are still demanding it by saying, I like this, I need more of this, and they replace what you take.
Well, and two, I think one of the most inhumane things about eating cows is the way they are unalive before slaughter.
It's all immoral because we're bringing someone into existence just to use them. But yes, it is.
I know. I'm saying a part of it.
The most abuse is at the end for sure. Yeah.
Yes, and I think part of it is that if you are going to be slaughtering these animals,
you guys know it's not alcohol.
Oh, I love the liquid death water, and their sparkling waters are the best.
Yes, I'm drinking the mango one right now. It's good.
Or the Ranch Farm seltzers, those are good.
I haven't.
You want to try them? They're at Albertsons by you. I do,
actually. I think I do.
So they're only at Albertsons. Will change your life. But, yeah, they're life changing. That's what we always drink when we do Brandon. We'll get like cases of them, and we will. It doesn't end very good trying to rope on a horse though after 5 of those.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be roping on a horse.
I know. I need to start just ground roping tackle.
Not even don't rope them anymore. No more roping.
No more.
Actually,
yeah, and that's
well, after you're done saying, I do have a resource for you as far as your farm goes as well.
For sure, yeah. So for us, like, we just got done with calving season. We had around 1,000, 2,000 calves, give or take. And when we do branding, it always ends pretty bad because we've got some older cowboys there who are family friends, have worked there for 20 plus years. And they're in their 50s, 60s. They're riding these young colts. They get on their 4th beer, and it ends up with half these calves not being branded, and all the cowboys on the floor because they're drunk on a horse. Mm-hmm. And yesterday we were out in the mountains, 2 hours away from the nearest cell service, anything. And they just those ranch, ones I was telling you about. It was the biggest shit show I have ever seen. I wanted to almost be like, can we just let these cows go? I'm so done with it. Branding does make me sad. I mean, I hate it when the cows make noise because of it, but I know it is important if you do have cows because people can steal them.
I mean, it's so the whole issue is that we're seeing animals as a resource.
Yeah.
And when you do that, that means their consent doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like with humans, when you objectify a human, that now means that you don't care what they want. You care about what you benefit from using them.
For sure.
Yeah. So as far as but before you move on, that resource I wanted to give you is called the Ranchers Advocacy Program. It's run by Renee at Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. And
I want to finish our conversation. I just have to. My horse hurrying got out. It'll take me like 2 minutes to put the noise. Is it okay if I go and pause real quick without you?
No, I think we're going to move on. I just want you to have that resource, okay? Look up the Ranchers Advocacy Program and reach out to Renee, okay? Yes, Frisia, put it in the comments. Maybe take a screenshot.
Perfect.
Because I think she's a great resource. She was in the same environment, so she's a great person to talk to. And you sound like you have a very compassionate heart, so I really urge you to reach out. If you do, reach out to me. I'd love to hear what happens.
I will. Well, and I appreciate you letting me talk here and having a respectful conversation, of course. Finding some sort of middle ground, at least of, maybe if it wasn't...
there's no middle ground on rights. But
not middle ground on rights, but I mean some of the stuff we can agree on of what's humane and inhumane.
Sure, we both agree that their experience is what matters, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, remember that when you're purchasing their body parts, okay?
I will.
All right. I'll see you, I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.
Thanks.
All right. Renee is a great resource at Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. Go follow her. She has great videos and relations with the companion animals that she now cares for, her residents now. They used to be ranchers, and they were in the same environment, same group, same circles, And I just think that maybe talking to somebody who's been in the same environment and has a similar background might be a little more empathetic to, what you're going through. Might be a little more helpful. Yeah, Renee is awesome. I appreciate you coming up, though. All right, you got to be over 18. Donnie. It's taking a while. Sometimes if they're too long ago, it just... Oh, did it work? No? Okay. Maybe leave and come back. Pixie, are you over 18?
Hello.
Hi.
I am.
Right on. So if animals could tell you no, would you still use them?
No, because consent is key. But I did actually have a question for you, and I asked this question to most vegan people on this app. Did you ever eat meat?
Yes.
So how did you realize and, become vegan, sort of like that?
Sadly, it wasn't overnight. I didn't understand the horrors in the dairy and egg industry, but I did learn about the slaughterhouses and how animals are treated and raised for their flesh and their skin. And I knew it wasn't healthy, so I was kind of on this kick of trying to be healthy and just eat the better, healthier things, meat, the animal products. And it wasn't until I read this book called Skinny Bitch, which talks about some of what the animals go through, but again, focus on health. And it wasn't until I watched a documentary on dairy cows in 2016, I think it was. And that's when I just realized I didn't want to be the reason that a mother didn't have her child, that anyone was being born into existence just be used, because I wouldn't trade places with them.
Mm. Yeah. So do you think that people who aren't vegan are sort of bad people, or?
I don't. If they're not aware of what's going on, I mean, I can't hold that against them. But if people are aware of the harm that they're causing and that they don't need to cause that harm, and they still choose to do it anyway. I do look down on those people a little bit because they're not recognizing their power, or they think they can't make a difference, or they enjoy that someone is suffering. And I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that it's just a matter of they don't know the seriousness of this. That people truly, if they understood what animals were going through, if they visualize, most people are sensitive about dogs. They understand dogs have a personality and can suffer.
Yeah.
And so if people could visualize what the animals go through as if they were dogs, I feel like there'd be a lot more of an uproar. People would understand where vegans are coming from.
Yeah, that's, the best answer that I've got, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get answers like, yeah, they're all bad people. I mean, I've had people tell me that they should go to HE double hockey sticks for just eating meat. So, that was a better answer.
It's hard to be empathetic to somebody that's being cruel to somebody else, even if they're unaware. So I have empathy for vegans that lose it because I'm one of them. And we do try to be, kind to who we're talking to. But to us, it's for me, it's like watching someone on the street kick their dog. And I'm like, I gotta do something. I can't watch this happen. I already feel that's wrong. So I'm going to go out there and say something, right? That's how I feel. I feel that we're escalating the violence. We're removing their heads. We're putting our hands inside of them. We're stealing their babies. And it's just, if it's not necessary, why are we doing this?
Yeah, because I very much think that if you're going to have respect for people, respect for people's opinions, respect for, what people do, have respect for animals as well, because animals, although they don't speak, they still have brain, lungs, they have everything that we have. Dogs can still get periods, so can humans, Yeah. So if you didn't eat a dog, then why would you eat a cow, which is technically the same thing. And, cows have very cool, characteristics, so they love jazz music. You say jazz music to a cow field, they'll come right over, and people see these videos and be, look at her, so long.
Sorry, my partner's computer just started blasting music.
So yeah, I think that people see them videos, they're like, oh, so cute, but then continue to, eat them, and they'll be like, oh, I wouldn't eat a Highland cow because they're cute, they're fluffy, but I'd eat a regular cow, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Cows are actually called grass puppies. So they're very similar to dogs. In fact, they're compared to toddlers, human toddlers, and they're very maternal and care about their family. And they actually see that cows that have been rescued with their young, especially from dairy, have a PTSD of their babies being stolen from them. And when they are raising these babies in a sanctuary setting with other cows, the cows actually take turns watching over the calf. They have take the herd to raise a cow.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, even animals, they still have a brain. They can still do things that we do. A cow with a dance. I mean, a cow could dance,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just saying that if we don't need to use them, you going into the store and purchasing their body. Are you vegan? I actually never asked.
I'm not vegan because health reasons, but I'd love to retry in the future. That's something that I'd like. I only eat dairy products.
There are actually programs in place to help people that have situations that maybe aren't the norm, and maybe you need access to a dietitian. So I would look up free dietitian access vegan challenge, and there's there's a bunch of them, and they're totally free, and they usually just go through email, and you can clarify, hey, I have these specific needs, or talk to your own dietitian if you have a dietitian you have access to. Those are the pinnacle of information. I've
got an appointment in July for my dietitian, so.
Yeah. So just if you genuinely want to be, it's a matter of what you want to do. Veganism isn't a gang. There's going to be nobody that's checking up on you to make sure you're following the rules or something. It's about what you want to demand. Veganism just describes that principled stance that you don't want to use someone for your benefit when it's not necessary. And, if you genuinely want to find a way, I would look up, like I said, well, no, you already said you're going to your dietitian. So, yeah, tell them I want to be vegan, and they can help you find the best way to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lovely talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you having a chat with me. And you know what? If anything changes for you, I'd love to talk to you. You can private message me or meet me on the live again. I'd just love to know if talking to your dietitian made a difference.
Yeah. Well, have a lovely day, night.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
See you. Oh my gosh. I need water. Sorry, I gotta be careful with can showing. Stellaris? I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. How do I say your name?
Stellaris.
Stellaris? Okay.
Yep.
Are you over 18?
I am. I am 32.
Fantastic. So if animals could say no, would you still use them?
I would say, basically the answer would essentially be yes. And I would argue that, they already can, for those that, are willing to listen. But I would also argue that, the lion understands that its prey, is wanting to fight back and to live, but it still eats them.
Do you know the difference between, moral agents and moral patients?
I understand, as a philosophical concept, for sure.
Yeah, so you and I would be moral agents. We can weigh out what's right and wrong and understand that there's this complexity to morality. A moral patient is someone who may have some idea of morality, but most likely doesn't understand morality, but is still sentient, still experiencing life, still enjoying things, can play with toys, enjoy certain individuals. So would you agree that it would be immoral for a moral agent, like you or I, to take advantage of a moral patient like a child? Children can do things that are immoral sometimes, but they don't fully understand morality, but that's what makes them a moral patient. Would you agree it'd be immoral to take advantage of them?
I agree that, it would go against my personal morality. I can't, I personally
that's all I'm talking
argue.
about. Just you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And it's because someone's vulnerable, that I feel that moral agents have responsibility to not take advantage of the vulnerable, to, if anything, protect, but at minimum not exploit. Right?
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, and for me, it boils down to, it's we're all following our nature, so to speak. And obviously, our nature is different than, to a certain degree, than that of a lion, obviously.
Right, because lions are still a moral patient. They still don't fully understand morality. They're just doing what they need to survive a harsh environment. We've seen when we take these beings out of their fight or flight mode, they actually do show signs of compassion and morality. Not fully to the same extent, but you can't compare your lifestyle of being able to go to a grocery store to a lion who is surviving by hunting their prey.
Yeah, I definitely understand that argument. And like I said, for me, it just boils down to, I think, I would hope that most people, understand, that animals want to live, they obviously don't want to die, or pass away, sorry. So, for me, it boils down to, it's what works best for me as an individual, in terms of...
I would ask you, instead of considering your benefits, let's say somehow something causes you to become a moral patient, no longer able to really weigh out what's right and wrong, but you're still innocent, you haven't harmed anyone, and you're still sentient, still experiencing life, you still have people you prefer to be around, you look forward to things, but you don't necessarily understand morality. Would you want to still be respected? Or are you now vulnerable to someone using you?
Obviously in the abstract, obviously I would but I don't think...
Yeah, I mean, morally, would you
yeah.
want someone to take advantage of your vulnerability? Sorry, you're right. I did word that weirdly.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, like, you know, like, unfortunately, we don't really get that choice terribly often. But no, like, I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah.
That's often
but
why
I
we
think,
respect
you know, as
others,
like...
is because if we were in their situation, we would want to be respected. Right.
Yeah. No, I get you.
So I'm just saying that we don't really have a moral difference, though, between humans. Like, if you had lost your moral agency, that doesn't, and you know, you're still alive. I don't have the rights to use you, just like I don't have really the rights to use animals. It's just a matter of you're vulnerable, and I can do it. That's it. And that doesn't make it correct. That doesn't make it moral to do that to someone.
No, and I get that. And I guess for me, you know, it boils down to, you know, my sort of difference is that I generally view plants with the same consideration. Or I guess I give all life, you know, or at least to the best of my abilities, I give all life the same, you know, consideration.
Okay. And I have two responses to that. One is they're not sentient like animals and humans, even if they have some form of sentience. Well, they don't. The sentience is binary. You either are or are not experiencing life, but they are not experiencing life like animals and humans at all. My second point, though, if I steel man you and we say, hey, we find that plants are just as sentient as us, we're actually enslaving and harvesting and harming more plants to feed animals. So it would still, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it would still demand that everyone go vegan to reduce the amount of plants that we subject to abuse. We would reduce our agricultural land use by 75% alone. And we could feed 10 billion people on that if we just got rid of animal agriculture. So that's tons of sentient plant life saved and spared. In fact, we could rewild those areas to become carbon sequesters and natural habitats for the animals that we have pushed to such severe low numbers.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely agree that our entire, you know, food chain system needs to be, like, retooled.
I'm just saying, to your point of plants being sentient, you would still live vegan because we use more plants to feed the animals, to keep them alive. It takes like 10 times the energy that you put into an animal that you get back.
But unfortunately, you know, as an individual, you know, that just makes me more dependent on a system that I have no control over.
But see, that's the thing. You actually have a lot of power. There's a supply and demand thing in play. And it's so big. People who claim to be vegan only make up 1 to 3% of the world population. But you can see on the shelves how many more vegan options exist right now. That's huge. Imagine if we were only 10%, right? It doesn't really matter, you know, that you're just one person. They watch what you purchase. And one omnivore person going vegan can save 100 to 300 individual lives a year. Can you imagine looking behind you and seeing 100 animals spared from being put through that system? That's huge. Each one of them grateful because they care what happens to them, just like you standing in a crowd of 100 people would be grateful that you, as a single individual, got to live your life or not be forced into that system. That's huge. You actually have a lot more power than you think, and they watch what you purchase. If you don't purchase, they won't keep replacing what you purchase, right? Because you didn't put the demand in.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I don't entirely disagree. What I was more getting at is that, like, you know, particularly now, you know, it feels like our, honestly, our whole system feels a lot more, I guess unstable is just a good word. Like, you know, I feel like
you though from moving your hand. If you move your hand to plant-based products, you will make a difference. You'll increase the availability of plant-based foods, and you'll decrease the demand for animal-based foods. That's big. They pay attention. That's the whole thing that keeps the whole thing going. So you're still denying your power to make change. You have so much more power. They want you to think you have no power, so you just keep doing what you're doing, and they can easily make money from it. but it's someone. What if you were the victim? What would you want your oppressors to do? Would you want your oppressors to kind of stop using you, or would you want your oppressors to stop using you knowing they don't need to?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely understand, appreciate your argument.
No, I want you to answer me. If you were the victim, what would you prefer?
I mean, yeah, like selfishly, I'd obviously not want to be, put through that situation.
And I'm telling you right now, you're the oppressor. And the animals are begging you to stop. Just like you would.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, yeah.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, if it's something about, like, you're worried about nutrition, maybe, I don't know what's maybe stopping you. I have resources above me. You want to see, I think, honestly, everyone should see what these labels mean. So if you do decide that you're still going to participate in demanding this of animals, you should know what those labels mean.
Well, and I have, I've watched
cage-free, even them.
Well, I don't think I've specifically watched Dominion. I've watched Cowspiracy, I've watched Forks Over Knives, I've watched, one of the older ones.
Those are okay. They do look a little bit into the animals. They're more focused on environment and health, though. Dominion is just going over what these animals go through in these different scenarios. When they're cage-free, when they're grass-fed, when they're in small local farms, small local slaughterhouses. Like, all these terms that we think this makes it okay. Because they're in this situation, it's okay. And if you can't look at it, that should tell you right there that you don't even believe it.
No, I mean, I've watched all these. I mean, like, I can't remember if I watched Dominion. I know I've watched one that was more focused on, like, the... how long has Dominion been out?
2018.
Okay, I might have actually watched that already. I don't remember. They all, admittedly, some of them blur together, but...
Just look up Dominion 2018. It's free on YouTube, but this is their website, and what I like about DominionMovement.com is just they provide you with some resources, too, so you don't feel like
was that the one,
hopeless.
Or was that the one that was made or really heavily promoted by Joey Carbstrong?
I don't know. He made his own documentaries, actually. That was Pignorant.
Okay.
He may have
I might be mixing stuff up. But.
Other vegans do promote it. It's just because, like I said, it's so thorough, and there's not a lot of this footage out there because there's these things called ag-gag laws. These corporations are powerful, so when people expose them for the abuses that go on, like, this is what's crazy. Like, when I'm talking to people that are non-vegan, I'm talking to you about a philosophical, like, what do you want to support thing. But when you look at the systems and you think, oh, at least they're treated kindly, and you see these tiny farms that have a few animals that look like they're maybe okay, you don't understand that 90 to 99% of the animals are not in that situation. They're in the muck. They're in the tight spaces, even the free-range, humane-raised ones, because they're a product. And putting the terms humane and even sometimes the word organic, they utilize those words just to squeeze money out of people. There was a study that came out recently that found that between organic and non-organic animal farms, the treatment was the same. So it's about your perspective. It's about how you see the animals. And that's why I like Dominion, because it's just focusing on these specific animals and what they go through. It does have music to it, so I guess you could say it has like this emotional tie. But if you were watching this and you saw dogs, you could play it muted. And just imagine all these animals were dogs. The outrage that would spark from that, Like, and these animals are no different. And this is happening every single day. And, like, I can't imagine why anyone would want to be a part of it. And there's a way that you don't have to be. It's to live vegan. So, I know I just kind of lectured you there. I try not to do
you're
that.
Fine. But I like it. You're not going to bother me. I have, I don't mean to say this in a callous way. Like, I've talked back and forth with vegans probably for, like, the better part of 10 years. So, like, you're not gonna, like, I mean, you seem like a very reasonable person, so, you're not, I don't feel like you're gonna say anything, like, that is gonna, like, piss me off or anything.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, like, pick a fight with you. I genuinely want people to just see the similarities between us and animals, we both want to live free.
Yeah, no, I definitely, agree. Even obviously if I don't necessarily share the same methodology, but.
And that's why I just push people. I understand people are numb. I get it. There was a long time when I would tease vegetarians. But you need to expose yourself to what it is to know that when you're walking in that store, you have a flashback and go, that's what this is. And then you can ask yourself, even if you're not emotional, you can just be like, do I want to support that? Do I want to give those people my money? I mean, it makes you slow down, at least, instead of just being stuck to your old routine.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And
well, I don't want to keep you up here. I feel like you feel like you're tired or something.
No, you're good. I was just about to say I got to head out because I got to work on some products. But thank you so much for your time and a good conversation.
Yeah, just hold in your mind how many more animals you want exploited for you, and if it's 0, the only way is to go vegan. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Have a good day.
I'll see you around. I do appreciate open-minded people. Let's see, where are we at in time? I'll take one more. I think I'm just going to keep it short on my later day lives, just to prevent burnout. Talking to people can be tiring, even nice people. I have a hard time just being around people. Hey, is it Lisa?
It's Elias.
Elias. I'm sorry, Elias. Are you over 18?
That's alright. Yeah, I'm 20.
Okay. So if animals could say no, would you still use them?
No, I don't think so.
You're the first person to say that. You're the first honest. That's amazing. I commend you on that.
Thanks. I think the main reason people eat animals is because the intelligence difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like obviously animals have their way of speaking, but humans are superior. But regardless of that, I think with every type of diet, even if it's like vegetarian, like even harvesting corn and plants, like there's a lot of animals that die with that. Like habitats getting destroyed. So like I think it's just like pick your poison. It's going to be bad one way or another. People have to be fed. But to support your ideology, I think that veganism, I'm not really very educated on that, but I do think that gardening on your own and eating plants like on your own is good for you. So like you do that, like that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not talking about gardening because that's definitely a privileged thing. Most people don't have access to land, let alone the resources and the water you got to do for gardening. But I understand people's concerns for crop deaths. Veganism isn't about unaliving. It's not against unaliving animals. It's against exploitation. And I would argue that animals that are being unalived in crops. Sorry, my mouth is making noises because it's dry.
That's all right.
But that it is something we want to avoid and something that can be improved because it's not required in crop farming. Like, the crops don't grow better if animals pass away in the crops, right? It'd be preferable if the animals just were never in the crops. So we could improve crop farming. But that said, right now, we do the most crop farming for animals. So if your goal is to reduce crop deaths or crop unaliveness, I don't really actually know what TikTok's rule is on the word death. But if you want to reduce that, you would still go vegan just because we would reduce our ag land use by 75%. That's huge, right? That's the equivalent of North America and South America combined as far as land mass. We could give all that back to the wild. So that's all those fields that are no longer being plowed, right? No more of those animals. There's another argument I've heard about crop deaths, which is to say if that land had never been farmed and it was still wild, would there still be the same number of animal deaths happening because of predation, wild animals attacking each other? Because there really is no evidence if crop deaths are actually increasing harm versus if it were natural wild land. But the issue that we're getting to is exploitation. That's the issue. I don't demand those animals be exploited or used. I don't want them to be unalived. I would prefer if we did have a veganic option. It just doesn't exist yet.
I guess I'm kind of I'm confused on the exploitation part
Sure.
a little bit.
Yeah, so exploitation means to use someone unfairly for your benefit. So, like hunting. Someone's out in the wild in their own home, doing their own thing, and we go out there and take them out because their existence is an inconvenience and we benefit from just wiping them out. So we're not taking their best interest in consideration. We're thinking, this individual is an inconvenience for me, and I benefit if I use them. Versus, this individual has interfered, has possibly caused harm between them or us, and what other tools do we have? Can we manage their population in another form? Can we protect our area in another way, putting up fences, etc., versus first thinking violence?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like with the hunting part.
Right. Or farming is a more
clear
clear example of exploitation. We're using someone, their body, their excretions, their babies, whatever. We're using them without their best interests considered. That's what exploitation is.
Well, I live in Kansas, here in the United States, and I have family members that work at beef plants, and every part of it gets used.
I know, but wouldn't it be preferable if we didn't have to do this to cows? Wouldn't it be better if they had a job that wasn't in taking animals' lives? They were doing something else they enjoy doing?
Like what?
Well, I don't know, whatever they want to do. Like, is it preferable to take animals' life?
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody has their freedom to do whatever.
Alright, so I have two products here. Let's say they're cosmetics. I have two cosmetics. Exactly the same. Alright? One was tested on an animal and one wasn't. Exactly the same cosmetics, but one was tested on an animal and one wasn't. Which one are you going to buy?
I don't know. I mean, they're both the same. I mean, if one wasn't tested on an animal, then that animal didn't get harmed.
Right.
So it would have.
So which cosmetic are you going to buy?
It doesn't matter. I wouldn't buy either of them. But hold on.
Okay. Do you wash your hair? Do you use shampoo or conditioner?
I use shampoo. Yeah.
Okay. So I got two shampoos here. One was tested on an animal and one wasn't. The exact same shampoos. Which one are you going to buy?
The one that's tested on the animal. No, I don't know. I'm not
exactly.
You're
that. Doing it just to bite a bullet, but you know where I'm getting at, right? You would choose the compassionate choice because you care. There's no point in demanding someone's suffering when you don't need to.
No, because you can't breed a human like you can an animal.
So why did you pick the non-tested cosmetic?
Because if it's already tested on something, then you know what side effects are coming.
No, you said, so you do want it tested on an animal.
Later saying, yep.
So you do want it tested on an animal. Even if it's the same product, you still want it tested on an animal.
I mean, with some. I mean, not really.
No.
I've never thought of it.
You're dodging my hypothetical. I want you to answer my straightforward hypothetical. You got two products in front of you, the only two that you can choose between. One was tested on an animal, one was not. You now have the choice to choose which one. Which are you going to choose?
I mean, probably not the one. I just think of like
not
a rabbit.
Not the one what? You're not answering.
The one that's not getting tested on animals.
So you would pick the one that is not tested on animals.
Yeah, like the one that's like cruelty-free.
Right. Why would you do that?
Okay, let's say
why would you do that?
On animals.
Can you tell me why you would choose the cruelty-free?
Yes, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
Say 20 years down the road, scientists are saying, hey, this product is causing cancer, and they didn't know that because they didn't.
No, we're going to move on. You're clearly not getting it. Okay. It's because you don't want to cause unnecessary harm. I don't know what you're going on about cancer. You literally just said you would pick the one not tested on an animal, and then you say, but down the road, cancer? I don't think you're listening. The reason why I would pick the one that's not tested on an animal is because I care about someone being tested on without their consent. Look, I guess, you know what, Frisia, maybe that's what I should clarify is, what's that, huh? Some inactivity. It says I had some inactivity. I should clarify, it was tested on humans that were consenting versus animals that are not consenting. Maybe I should clarify. That's a great point, Frisia. I just feel like they're still coming at this from their selfish choice of, I want to still lick muscle. I still want someone to lose their life so I can lick their muscles and drink their titty juice. Instead of thinking, oh my God, am I actually demanding victims? Am I causing this harm? Okay, guys. Well, that was the last one. I think I'm going to call it right there. And I really appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate all the vegans in the chat. I will be live again on Monday. I go for 3 hours on Monday. That's why I keep the other ones short, so that way I keep my steam. Appreciate you, Frisia. I'm sorry if I missed any other vegans that might be popping in there. Comparing animals to humans is wild. I mean, no one can actually tell me the moral relevant difference, because we only care about sentience in humans. We don't care how smart they are. We don't care about what they provide for society, right? If there was a human that was not mentally able to do the things that we do, maybe they're the same mental capacity as the animals we use, right? We would still find it immoral to exploit them. It doesn't matter about intelligence. It doesn't matter what they provide for society. What happens to them matters to them, and that's all that matters. Just like what happens to you matters to you. Same thing. We don't need to use them. These resources above me will help you. This is the why. DominionMovement.com is their website. They have some resources there, but the documentary is what I'm trying to point at. You can look it up on YouTube. It's free. Dominion 2018. And then there's nutritionfacts.org. They actually have the studies you can go look at. So if you want to go argue with scientists, go read the studies yourself. They have them all listed there. And they make videos about them, breaking them down. And they also provide, it's a free resource called the Dailey Dozen. You can type in Google, Vegan Daily Dozen. And it's just an easy checklist to make sure you get everything you need in a day. Super easy. So if you want to go vegan, there's some resources for you. But you have to, it's about you. Do you want to support exploitation, or do you want to, support peace? Live a life without demanding others' oppression. Just like if you were the victim. What would you want your oppressors to do? And how quickly would you want your oppressors to stop? All right. I'll see you guys later. Monday, 9 a.m. PDT. Okay. Now I gotta figure out how to turn this damn thing off. I'll see you later. All I can do is pause. Oh my God. I have to close this. I don't know. Oh no. There we go. Bye.